All right, so hello everybody, and we'll start with announcements. I know the thing that everybody's here for really though is to talk about uh, the wonderful conference proposals. So any announcements?
Actually, I came here for fundraising and the different committees, but I'm anxious to hear that too, I guess, yeah.
All right, so everybody but Todd is interested in the conference.
One of the things I'm hoping to do this month, because we are in that awful 2 months of the year where I have to spend every single day 2.5 hours a day at the reference desk, I'm hoping that it's quiet enough so that I will finally be able to update my installation document that is currently sitting on the website. And I'm also hoping to write a variant therein that would talk about how to install it on what I think is an Amazon Web Services light sale instance, which is their VM instance that actually allows for database and web server management, because their basic VMs, whose name I forget because they got weird names for all of their various web services, does not actually allow for that.
Well, if that's the only announcement, let's see who's here. We're supposed to, I sent out emails last week, and so Laura and Wayne Clemens from Athens were going to try to be here to talk about the Athens proposal. So are they here? I know somebody is on the phone line. I definitely see that Robin is here, and Robin is next on my list of people that answered my request to talk about their proposals for the conferences. So why don't you tell us about why we should have the conference in Lawrence, Kansas, Robin?
Lovely Lawrence, Kansas. We have a beautiful public library and newly remodeled in the last few years, lots of space for meetings and such. It's got a auditorium that holds 160-ish, and then several breakout rooms that we would be able to use. And then, of course, it is just a block off of the famous Mass Street, where there are lots of quirky and interesting places to eat. It's not too far from motels and hotels. There's one, the Eldridge. If you have a little money behind you, you could stay there. But there are also some hotels that are within reasonable distance that are cheaper. One being a Marriott. The Spring Hill Suites is a reasonable price and pretty close. Definitely within walking distance, a block or two away. We do have a major airport 45 minutes to an hour away, depending on how you drive. I've been known to make it in 40, but I don't suggest you do that too often. So that's about as close as we can get. However, we here at Nichols have a couple of vehicles and would be willing to do some shuttle runs to and from the airport as needed during the conference. So that could help. We were thinking, if we decided to come here to Lawrence, first off, I would like to point out that our proposal was for September. Nobody, including George and me, want to be in Kansas in August. So we moved the time back a little bit to September so that hopefully the weather will not be boiling. But that also means that we've got I put in that whole week so that maybe we could have some cultural activities. George and I were just doing a quick, brainstorming what's close. We've got the World War I Museum, which is nationally known in Kansas City. There is a collection of Bibles in Baker University. Is that correct, George?
The Quail Bible Collection is, they have some Bibles that date back to the Middle Ages up to the present. What we put in the proposal, I believe, was that, we have 5 days planned for the conference, like Monday through Thursday would be the conference. And Friday could be a day where if people were interested and wanted to stay for a day, we could arrange a trip to the Quail Bible exhibition or collection in Baldwin City, which is about 20 minutes south of here. According to their website, they do an hour tour where you get a chance to look at that collection. We are also about an hour away from the Eisenhower Museum and Library in Abilene. We are about an hour away from the Truman Library in the Kansas City area, and we could arrange for either of those if people wanted to go to either of those to do tours. We could arrange on Friday. If people wanted to stay that day, we could arrange some tours of those places. So it would kind of be driven by interest.
Margie pointed out that here in town, the Spencer Research Library and Art Museum are also excellent cultural places to go check out. So we do have some pretty good amenities in Lawrence. Like I said, lovely public library that we would be most likely be able to use. I can't actually say yes, we've got it until we get the definite, but they have indicated that that week would be acceptable and not too overrun for them. So we've got a public library that we can use. We've got lots of excellent eating joints within a block or two radius of that library. We have hotels, motels, lots of people coming into town for KU basketball games. So there's lots of motel and hotel space. And we're not too far from public libraries or from a airport.
Also, if I might add, there's the Grover Barn, which is the Underground Railroad stop.
Yes. I don't know if they do tours or anything. I haven't seen anything around there, but I do know that's here in the area.
Joel Grover turns out to be my great, anyway, descended from him.
Yeah, there's lots to do if you choose to vote for Lawrence. Like I said, it is a little later than we usually have it to try and avoid all of us boiling away to death. So,
Robin, isn't there some interesting historical things that have taken place there too? Is that like Lewis and Clark went through there or something?
The Santa Fe Trail is not too far from us. Lewis and Clark, I know there's a trail through here. The people in the Quantrill's Raiders came and burned Lawrence to the ground, killing all of the men in town 150-ish some years ago. And so there's a lot of stuff. Just outside of town was the first, it's Lecompton, Kansas, where the first state convention where they chose to be a free state as opposed to a slave state, which is why Quantrill came and burned Lawrence to the ground. It is, if any of you, I'm from Missouri, and the first time I was introduced here in Lawrence, they said, "This is Robin, she's from Missouri." I got booed 150 years ago, and they're still very sensitive about it. It was good-natured booing, but yeah, sure. There's lots of historical stuff here in the very close, within an hour or so of our locations.
The hotel Robin mentioned, the Eldridge Hotel, was burnt to the ground. It's during the raid. It's one of the first acts of violence in what became the Civil War.
It's also haunted. So.
Oh boy.
There's that. Any other questions? All right, that's the proposal.
There we go. Everybody disappeared for a second. And now I've lost my note for who else was supposed to speak. Megan, my notes say Megan and other from McKinney.
Yeah,
I don't know who the other is. Somebody else is supposed to be there, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Ed. I don't know if he's here though. But I'm here, so I can talk. Okay, yep. So I'm representing McKinney for this. So we have the McKinney Performing Arts Center booked for this. It's right downtown McKinney. It's a large room. So it's like 130 if you're doing like a theater style, or about like 84 if you're going to have a classroom style. We also have the library, which is a block away, that we have like a big conference room we can use and a smaller meeting room. So we are about 30 miles from DFW. And there's no, because the hotel is farther away, there's no shuttles or anything. But I mean, we have like the super shuttle and Lyft, and I've looked into all their deals and it's pretty cheap. We have the Grand Hotel booked, just in case. And it's about a block or two from the Performing Arts Center. So you would literally wake up, walk a block, and you would be there. And around there, there's a whole bunch of shops and like food places. So everything is in that area. And there's also another hotel that's a little farther out, but they do have a shuttle that would be coming in like the morning. So you'd have a way to get there. But yeah, like I said, there's a whole bunch of shops in that area. I mean, I love them. They're very like unique to McKinney, but if you venture out a little bit more, there's more of just like your regular restaurants and everything. We also have, I think it was 8 libraries within this area that would like it to be at McKinney because it's close enough for them to be able to actually come to the convention. So we have like Bedford and Duncanville and Little Elm. They all want to come because they could just hop in the car and come if we had the conference here. What else? And also we were thinking if it was here that we would set up just like a fun activity, like after, because I think we've said ours was like going to be like a Monday through Thursday, a fun activity like that Tuesday night, and just kind of put feelers out to see, because we have like a comedy arena that's there. We have Tups Brewery, which is pretty awesome. We've done some events there, so just putting something together for that night. Yeah, and I think that's all for us.
I think from the email that that I got from Ed and Megan, you both said that the shuttle was approximately $35 from the airport to McKinney. For Lawrence, I did look. There is one shuttle company that I got a quote back from. It's about $84 from Kansas City to Lawrence. So I forgot to mention that when Robin was talking, but that was the basic general ballpark cost of transportation to and from the airport.
Okay. Yeah, so 35 for us about, and if people are coming in on the same day and want to split the cost, and that was the cheapest one that I found.
I think that was Super Shuttle is what the email said.
Super Shuttle for us. And the library, our library is willing to, provide snacks and everything here. So.
Yeah, I didn't pull up the costs. I think for Lawrence, we estimated the cost would be approximately, I want to say, I don't want to misquote, but there's a cost for each venue in the actual document that I sent out by email last week, and I'll try and find that while the next person is talking, and why don't we save the cost till everybody's done at the end, so we can get them all at once. So, if that's it for McKinney, then the next one that I have on my list here is Jill Clevin from Pueblo, Colorado.
Yep. Hi, everyone. So we are new to Koha, so I thought we'd throw our hat in the ring in the first year and do a conference proposal. So the dates that I was proposing were also in September. It's going to be September 18th through the 21st. And that's kind of in line with our local chili festival, which is like the big draw for Pueblo. It's a huge festival that happens downtown, which is about half a mile away from our main library branch. And that is where we would actually hold the conference. Kind of like the others, we have a large room here that holds about 130 or 140 people. And then we have quite a few breakout meeting rooms too. And so I've booked those just in case, so we would have those spaces available. So of course that would be free. As far as airports, we have an airport in Pueblo. Most Flights come through Denver and then come to Pueblo, so the layover would be in Denver. And then we also have Colorado Springs, which is about 45 minutes north of Pueblo. And then, of course, Denver International, which is about 2.5 hours. So there's definitely some different options. And the cost, if you're going to fly into Pueblo, it's going to cost a little more than if you're going to fly into Denver or Colorado Springs, of course. We have quite a few restaurants that are close to the library within walking distance. We have a river walk that runs through our downtown area. And so there's lots of different types of restaurants located on the river walk, lots of coffee shops within walking distance. We have a few hotels that are downtown. So we have a Spring Hill Suite and a Marriott as well. And then I listed, we have other hotels, of course, in town that are just a little bit further away. So the big draw, I think, for here is we have a lot of like nature things around Pueblo and the Colorado Springs area that I think would be fun for the group to do. So we have Pikes Peak, which is a huge mountain, pretty close to us. We have Garden of the Gods, which is like kind of a park, like a trail park that's in Colorado Springs. We have the Royal Gorge Bridge, which is in Canyon City. That's about 40 minutes from here, and it's one of the highest suspension bridges in the world. So yeah, I guess if you want to come to Colorado, you're going to get an adventure.
Cool.
Yeah, so the only, I would say, like, there's not a lot of like public transportation options. So the library does have 2 large vans that we could make work as shuttles, if that is something. And then, of course, rental car companies at all of the airports. There's not really a shuttle from like Denver or Colorado Springs Airport to Pueblo, though.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's any questions or.
Okay, that's a pretty cool library too. I almost made the mistake, that little wading pool that you guys have in front of the glass window. I almost walked right to the wading pool into the glass. I didn't realize it.
That's funny. We're actually looking at remodeling this building in the next couple of years, and where that pool is actually going to be our new entrance. We're going to have like a little bridge, so you could kind of walk through it in the future.
It was nice though. Very nice library. Great little town.
Cool. Well, the next one on the list then is Round Rock, and I think I saw Rhonda here. Yeah, Rhonda's here.
Yep, I am here. So we have proposed August 14 through 17 for our dates. And it would be held at the library here. We've got a large meeting room downstairs that holds about 160 people. That's in seat, in rows or whatever, be like 80 at tables, something like that. And then we have a couple of breakout rooms. We have literally, you walk out the front door and you're on Main Street, and we've got restaurants up and down Main Street within 2 blocks, there's probably 8 or 10 restaurants, all local kind of things. As far as hotels, we've got lots of hotels. Round Rock has billed itself the sports capital of Texas. So we get a lot of tournaments coming into town. So we've got lots of hotel choices. Just out of curiosity, I called the Comfort Suites, which is, not like a half mile from here, not that far. And we can get group rates there for, room with 1 bed for $90 or 2 beds for $100. So we can get group rates for that. We do have a bus service that goes right past the library. It's kind of limited in the places that it goes, but it does go right past the library. The airport that's the closest is the Austin Bergstrom Airport. So that's about 45 minutes from here. There is Super Shuttle. I requested a quote and never got one back from them. So I don't know how much it is. We also have, of course, Lyft and Uber available. Let's see. As far as the area, yeah, it's Austin, basically. So we've got, as far as history stuff goes, we've got all kinds of history. The Round Rock is part of history, which is in the creek, in Brushy Creek, where that was the low water crossing where everyone would go to cross Brushy Creek. They would say, hey, go to the Round Rock, and then you can cross. So there's a lot of history there. We have the, what is it called? The Story of Texas Museum in Austin, which has 4 floors of Texas history, which they are more than happy to share with you. Texans are very proud of their history, so they will share that with you. We also have, of course, entertainment. You know, there's Austin 6th Street for music venues. Round Rock has I always forget, I think it's a AA baseball team, the Round Rock Express, who will be in town that particular weekend. That week. And so we could get, discount tickets to that for thing. There's all kinds of, if we wanted to go down to Austin for an evening, there's, Segway tours, there's, you can tour the state capitol, which is really, again, history and interesting. And then there's the river. You can rent boats and go out there, and what are they called? Ducks or whatever, that land and water, amphibious kinds of things that give tours. I don't know. Did I cover everything?
I think you've done a pretty good job. Can you get us into a taping of Austin City Limits?
I can work on that. No promises, but
so long as it's Willie Nelson.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as Willie's there.
Yeah. Okay. Setting the bar low. Okay.
What's the weather like in Round Rock in August?
Hot.
Humid hot or dry hot?
It will depend on whether the wind is coming from Houston or it's coming across West Texas. So,
Ronnie, you didn't mention Round Rock Donuts.
You're right. World famous Round Rock Donuts. It says so right on their building that they're world famous.
And a T-shirt that I got when I was there.
That's right. So if I turn, there's the window. I can see Round Rock Donuts from my window, which is not good. But yes, they are world famous, wonderful Round Rock Donuts. We also have Franklin Barbecue in Austin, which is the Food Network. These are, restaurants that have made now, TV shows or whatever. And what's the other one? Torchy's Tacos. Great. They're right now building a location right across Interstate 35 from us, so it'll be nice and close. And yeah, the main street here has all kinds of, we've got pizza, we've got Slapbox Pizza, we've got Liberty Barbecue, we've got Louisiana Longhorn, which is Cajun thing. I couldn't think of that word. And then, Cajun, I couldn't think of that word. And then, Cajun, I couldn't think of that word. And then, Cajun, I couldn't think of that word. And then, Cajun, I couldn't think of that word. And then, Cajun, I couldn't think of that word. And then, Cajun, I couldn't think of that word. And then, Palermo's Pasta House, which is homemade pasta and everything. So all that stuff is right here. So yeah. And of course, anything that Austin offers. Plus there's lots of hiking and stuff like that, which you do in the evening.
Cool. Any questions then for Rhonda other than after Todd's donut question?
More of a statement.
That's right. And you could get a Texas-sized Round Rock donut, which will give you diabetes, just like that.
I just put on a pound hearing about it.
If you go to roundrockdonuts.com, which I just did, the homepage has a Texas donut and a normal sized donut.
Yes, yes.
It's a big donut.
It's a big donut. Think a 9 by 13 pan with a donut in it. That's about the size of the donut.
$7.98 each. You get what, 15 normal sized donuts?
Something like that, yeah. But they're good.
Well, we were also supposed to have Laura Poe and Wayne Clemens here from Athens, but I'm not seeing them on my screen. So let me read what, the basics of what they said here. Athens, Alabama, the dates would be the 14th through 17th of August. They said nearby airports are Huntsville. The closest airport is Huntsville. It's about 20 miles away. They said Athens is also only about 90 miles away from Nashville and 90 miles away from Birmingham. So there are 3 airport options. From the Huntsville airport, she said that there is a local company that has shuttles available. They said it was about $25 for a shuttle from the airport to Athens, and they would be able to make more arrangements for that possibility closer to the actual. If they're selected, they said they'd be able to make some more arrangements for shuttle service. They are pretty close to the airport, though, only about 20 minutes away, she said. Available lodging, there are 8 national chains in the area, including Days Inn, Fairfield Inn. They're all located near, like in the restaurant hotel area of town. And then she listed a bunch of local restaurants: Witt's Barbecue, Hummus People, Dub's Burgers, all in walking distance to the library. And there, she said there are a lot of fast food options near the library as well. Huntsville, or the Athens Library, is located in the historic district. In Huntsville is the Marshall Space Flight Center, where the space camp is. And of course, she said there's a lot of things going on this year in Huntsville related to the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing. And so there's a lot of activities planned at the Marshall Space Center. The summing up of why to have it in Athens, what Paula wrote was, Limestone County is in the rolling foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in northern Alabama, filled with friendly people and progressive communities. The county stretches from the northern bank of the mighty Tennessee River to the southern boundary of the state of Tennessee. It's easy to access from across the U.S. Easy interstate air transportation available. There's even the possibility, if you live on the East Coast, rail is available, taking the Amtrak to Birmingham. So that was their summing up there. I can't really answer any questions about Athens because I've never been there. I've never even been to Alabama. It's one of those states on my list of places I've never been. Let me post over here in the chat box. Those are the proposed dates that I just posted in the chat box for all of these proposals in chronological order. So Athens and Round Rock are the same time from August 14th to 17th. McKinney's date was September 9th through 12th. Lawrence was 16th through the 20th. And Pueblo was the 18th through the 21st of September. So let me also post over here the proposed costs. These are also in the order of the dates. So Athens, the estimate, the proposed price for that conference would be $35 for members, $55 for non-members. Round Rock, $45 for members, $65 for non-members. McKinney, $20 for members, $20 for members, $40 for non-members. Lawrence, $45 for members, $65 for non-members. And Pueblo, $35 for members and $55 for non-members. So that's all the information everybody should need to make a decision. So the next steps here are, after this meeting is over, I will take everybody's email address off of the membership list for the members that are fully dues-paying members, and I will. I've got this all set up already in a SurveyMonkey that includes all of the information here that went out in the email, and I will send that out to all of the paid members through SurveyMonkey later this afternoon. So if you're not a member, you can't vote, but you can become a member by going to koha-US.org, click on the Become a Member page, and I will monitor the membership page this week, and anybody that signs up and pays their dues between now and the time that the voting period ends, I will get them a link to fill out the survey as soon as possible. I'll probably check it every afternoon to make sure that if anybody joins, they get the opportunity to vote.
To follow up on what George was saying, if people pay through PayPal, which is really the only way to pay within the time to be able to do this, I get that notification, and much like was the case in Portland, I'll be right on top of adding paid members to the appropriate lists so that George knows to be able to send them a link to the voting process.
Yeah, last week after I sent out the first announcement for this, we had 4 members sign up that day, I think just for the sake of being able to take part in this decision. So if you're not already a member, now's a great time to join. And while you're at it, you can also go to the donations page at koha-US.org. And you know, it's only $25 to join, so why not, you know, spend a little extra and make a donation as well. So I will take care of that. Does anybody have any questions about the proposals or the process here for making a decision?
How long is the vote open?
The vote will be open. When I was looking at the bylaws, it said that we would announce the vote a week in advance, and then we would have the voting open for 1 week. So I got the information out to everybody last Thursday. So we will open the vote today, and it will stay up until the end of the day on Thursday, which is the 21st of March. And then the conference committee will meet. We've already got a meeting scheduled for Friday, I believe. Is that the date, Lizette?
Yeah, Friday the 22nd at, I think, 9 a.m. Pacific time was what you scheduled it for.
Yeah, so we'll meet Friday. The conference committee will meet Friday, and we'll look at the voting. We've got the voting set up as ranked voting, so there'll be the list of the 5 proposed locations, and you'll be able to say, this is my first choice, this is my second choice, all the way down through 5 if you want, or if you only want to rank a couple of them. Or if you only want to rank one, you know, you can leave them blank if you don't want to give them a value. But this way, if we come up with a tie, we'll be able to tell, you know, these two both were ranked number 1. 5, you know, let's say 5 people rank this one as number 1, 5 people rank this one as number 1, but then 20 people rank this one as number 2. You know, we'll be able to use the ranking to help us make a decision if there's a tie, which however unlikely that may seem, is sure to happen if we're not prepared for it. So we'll be able to look at those proposals, and hopefully a week on Friday the 22nd, we'll be able to say this is what everybody chose. Another thing I should mention is a couple of the proposers said, how is the list being ordered? When you look at this on SurveyMonkey, they're all going to randomize. So every time if two people look at it, they might see these things in a different order, just to not favor one by making it at the top of the list or at the bottom of the list or whatever. So
another thing you might want to dwell on is that if you're planning to go to the conference, your membership only costs $5, and you get to choose.
Yeah, we talked about it, and at the board talked about it, and we decided that if the membership is $25, we would essentially, if you want to go to the conference. And you want to have a say in where the conference is, the difference between the prices is only $5. So joining, saves you $20. Paying your $25 membership fee saves you $20 on the conference. So really, it's a bargain. And we will when it comes time to actually start collecting money for the conference, we will have it set up so that non-members, if they wish to become a member, as they're registering for the conference, that we'll be able to package that as one button to click. So it could be one PayPal payment instead of two. So any questions about the process here for deciding on the final choice? While they're still here, are there any questions for the proposers that are here? I'm really excited about this because honestly, all 5 of these proposals look great to me. I could go to any one of these, and I think I'd be happy. So, and they're even all within, ultimately for me, they're all within driving distance. None of them are. It's not like I'll be flying, over the Rocky Mountains again. And actually, that's another thing that all 5 of these locations have in their advantage this year, is it doesn't look like that any of them will be in like having a forest fire during the conference like we've had at virtually every other conference, except for the one I didn't go to in Erie. I don't think there was there weren't any air quality problems in Erie, Pennsylvania. It was just Coeur d'Alene and Wenatchee and Monterey, where it was, everybody was dying 5 miles away in the forest fire.
Is Kansas expecting a plague of locusts this year?
We're not expecting, but we're not either.
I just want to say all you guys presented well. Each location sounds very nice.
Yeah, like I said, I think I could go to any of these and be happy. So
you're making it really hard.
I just wanted to add really quick, because everybody was touching upon like the history of their area. So like McKinney itself is like a historic area. Like all the buildings and everything have been there forever. And we have like museums right downtown and everything that I've been to that are pretty cool. So just wanted to let you know, we have a lot of cool stuff downtown. I just didn't mention it all because there's a lot. So
cool.
Even got a great place to get your hair cut.
All right, so let's move on to where we used that took a lot of time, and I actually kind of expected it to take a lot of time. I'm actually surprised that we're done with that this quickly. So let's move on to bylaw amendment results and update, which I think would be Jason.
Yep, so just to give everyone an update on the bylaw amendments that we discussed last month, we held the vote. It was an 11-0 vote, so we had low voter turnout, but that's okay. It still passed. So what that allows us to do is put non-board members in charge of committee chairmanship. So this is a good time to say, if you're not on a committee, you should join one, and if you want to get in charge of a committee, we will happily accept you. Talk to Lizette about that. So just And the bylaws have been updated on the website, so if you want more information on that, you can check that out. That's all I had.
Cool, thanks, Jason. Any questions about that? All right, well, let's move on to committee reports. The conference committee, this one should be pretty easy.
We covered all the stuff the conference committee talked about when we were talking about the conference location proposals, and that we'll be meeting next week after the vote closes to try and really get the ball rolling.
I guess after we've got the location chosen, the next really big thing the conference committee has to do is start getting proposals for presentations together.
Yes. So start thinking about if you have a proposal that you'd like to present on, or something you'd like to present on to propose, because that should hopefully be going out not too long after we know where we're going to be.
Right. Next up is the development committee.
So we had reopened voting after our last meeting for, or not voting, proposals for developments, because we hadn't got any in the initial round of development proposals in January. This time we got 8. And one of them is actually in 1811. So we've got 7 proposals. We're just waiting on a couple. We had a couple follow-up questions, and we're meeting at the end of the month, and we'll be going over it then once we have the updated information from a couple of our proposals, and hopefully get voting rolling on that next month.
Cool. Any questions about the development committee or the development process? So for those of you that didn't understand why we were changing the bylaws to allow anybody to be the chair of a committee, let me explain that Lizette is up next for the education committee.
At our last meeting, we made some updates to the Koha Learn From Us on koha-US.org, which I will put in the chat. We now have, in addition to the updates, or the jQuery that Jason and I put up last year, and the how to set up Koha that John also got up last year. We now have links to the parts of the manual and the Koha community wiki that are relevant to the different sections, so that if you're looking for information on how to customize Koha, you know, we're linking to different places for that now as we start, as part of our process, as we're starting to put more information on our website, so that if you have questions about Koha and you come here looking for it, you should be able to at least get pointed in the right direction. And we're going to continue working on that and fleshing that out at our next meeting, which is, I don't remember which one's, that's next week, right? Yeah, next Wednesday, same time.
Since Jesse and Joy are here from Bywater, I'll also let them know that Nate came to our last board meeting and he gave us permission to use any Bywater videos. And he also gave us permission to let you know if there were any that needed to be updated that we might want to link to. So just so you guys are in the loop. Todd was at that meeting, but I know you two weren't. So just in case you hear us say, hey, you know, there's a video here and we noticed it's out of date, you know, maybe that might be why. So you can thank Nate for that. Any questions about the education committee? And now it's time for Lizette, the chair of all the committees except fundraising, to talk about, or finance, to talk about the fundraising committee.
So we are working, one of the things we're working on is membership push, which John and I have been working on a letter for that to send out to a list of emails that we have. And then we also talked about our Koha-a-thon fundraising push that we're hoping to do Giving Tuesday in November. We talked about some other potential fundraising opportunities, including possibly a raffle at the conference for people who are attending the conference. And we talked about wanting to think about how we can market fundraising to our users and libraries that use koha-US.
Cool. Any questions for Lizette about the fundraising committee?
Let's see. Oh, we do have more members. Is it more members this year, John, or more members than we had at this time last year?
It's a great segue. We now have more members. Pardon me. We actually surpassed last year's final membership count today. We now have 34 members that are in good standing. 2 people have literally joined since the beginning of this meeting. One of them is here. And we ended last year with 32 members. But most of those memberships were actually half-year memberships. We saw a spate of members join initially when membership was first rolled out in March. Then we had a kind of a lull for a while, and then we had another big push during the Portland conference of KohaCon. This year, we've got how many? I forget the count now, but I believe it's around 9 new members, and I think it's 24, maybe 25 returning members. That's one of the things I actually keep track of, is whether somebody is a new member or a returning member. That's one of the reasons why the membership form was constructed the way that it was. So we're actually doing the membership numbers. Not only are they up, but all of the membership that we have so far this year is actually a full year member as opposed to last year when the majority of them were half year.
It looks like we have 11 new members this year. I'm just looking at the membership sheet right now. And so 11 of our 34 are new members.
That sounds about right, yeah. And in fact, all of the ones that have joined most recently are all new members, which is a very nice thing to be able to report on.
Cool. Well, you want to just jump right into the Finance Committee report then, John?
Sure. As of the end of the month, which is how I always construct membership numbers, we were at 27. Like I indicated, now we're actually higher than that, having passed last year's membership total. Financially, of course, we're doing quite well. Most of our money, of course, is still coming in through memberships, although one thing that is not on this report, since it happened very recently, and I'll give an aside to Fred here in just a moment, we received a $500 donation, unsolicited. Fundraising is not going out and actively soliciting donations, but we did receive a $500 donation, which even after the PayPal service fee still turns out to be over $485. Easily the largest donation, single donation we've received to date. The recurring donation that we receive monthly, notwithstanding, which has also generated a very wonderful, decent size of income for us to work with. You see the bank balances there. Keep in mind that about 1,900 of that is still money that has been slotted for the development process. So as people continue to submit developments and as the development committee gets things together to put together for a vote, keep in mind that about 1,900 of that is essentially spoken, or at least earmarked for various development as well as educational opportunities. A few things before I give George the aside on the donation that we received. I'm still looking for one more volunteer, ideally 2, that is willing to look over the finances of the organization for 2018. Of course, you cannot have been on the board or the finance committee at any point in time during 2018 to be able to do so. If you're interested in serving in that capacity, please contact me at treasurer@koha-us.org by March 15th. We've received our quarterly Amazon Smile donation, which was $177.13. That is not an insubstantial amount when you consider that less than that, I'm sorry, 0.5% of eligible Amazon purchases is devoted to that. And we've actually received almost $700 through Amazon Smile since the introduction of the program in January of 2017. Receipts, except for the 7 new members, have all been sent out. We've got the receipt generation down to a relative science now, and it is the goal of the treasurer to keep on top of receipts by sending them out no more in a excuse me, in a batch process, no more than once every 2 months. And finally, we are in compliance with the federal government. We filed our Form 990 for nonprofits with the federal government on March 1st, and we now have all of the information to submit the other required document, which is sent to our state of incorporation, the state of Kansas annual report for nonprofits, and that will take place shortly. So I now turn everything over to Fred, unless there are questions with regards to any of the Finance Committee matters. I turn everything over to Fred for his discussion about the $500 donation that we received.
Thanks, John.
I'm trying to look up the name of the person and the college, and I'm coming up blank. But when John announced that, I've been spending the last 2 months studying things like SIM swapping, packet sniffing, ways to take over a computer. And okay, I was a little suspicious why I would trying to say, is this real? And turns out it is. And what made me wonder was that the only person by that name I could find does course reserves at Montgomery College in Rockville, Maryland. And why would that person be making a donation to a university in California? Well, it turns out that my wife does the course reserves in Tacoma, so she knows this person. And I emailed her, and yes, it was from her. On the weekends, she is a consultant to the university in California. She was actually the person who introduced them to koha and thinks it's absolutely marvelous and wonderful and the bestest, most wonderfulest thing ever. And she wanted to give something back, so she donated $500 to koha-US. So I'm going to see if she wants to attend the conference and maybe make a presentation, because it's kind of interesting setting it up on the other side of a continent.
Cool, thanks, Fred. Any questions for the Finance Committee? Well, I lost my agenda. I think the next thing on the agenda is just open discussion, right? So we've only got 6 minutes left, so what do we want to talk about for 6 minutes?
I have something. When we were in Portland, I shared or whatever, moderated the acquisitions roundtable, and that group wanted to get together again during the year. So we have a meeting set up, like this, a Skype meeting set up for the end of the last Wednesday in March. And I just wanted to let everybody know that. And if you're interested in sitting in on that, so far I've got 12 people responded that they're going to attend, which I thought was great. And so if you're interested in sitting in on that, we're just going to talk about acquisitions and, share solutions or whatever that we have, share ideas for developments. My thought is that maybe we can come up with a development that we can submit to koha-US for development. And, but yeah, I wanted to let you know about that. And then also I did a presentation at UT to one of the Bible school classes there. And Geeta Halley and I did it together. And that was well received. We got some really good feedback on that. And the instructor is using Classroom. Is that what the Bywater has set up for universities to kind of play with? Classmates, okay. Yeah, so she's got that set up, and they were supposed to play with that the following week and, set up different things. So that seemed like it went really well. And we have pictures. We really were there.
I had a bug that I wanted to mention to everybody, and now I can't find the number for it, and I don't remember what it was about. So it's like a double whammy. It was something that was on Bugzilla.
Yeah, that one. I remember it clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that one bug on Bugzilla that needs a little push to get it moving. And for the life of me, I just had Bugzilla open a few minutes ago, and for the life of me, I just cannot find this right now. Well, darn. And I don't even remember what it was about, so now I'm kind of feeling old.
I have a slight cautionary tale for any developers. The National Library of Medicine runs DocLine, which I hate the term gold standard, but it really is a gold standard for interlibrary loan. And a couple of weeks ago, they introduced a revised version, which pretty much left out everything useful. So if you want to study a way not to release a product, just check out the archives of MedLib L and DocLine L. And please, don't do that with Koha.
I was going to say, Rhonda, that's something that you should send out on the koha-US list, that announce that meeting there too. That'd be a good way to use the list, is to send out a thing.
That's a good idea. Okay, yeah. I'll do that.
George, do you think it would be a good idea to include that within our calendar on the website, on the front page?
If Rhonda wants us to do that, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because I'm hoping that we can do this, if not monthly, then, maybe quarterly or every other month, or, monthly, I don't know. But there seemed to be a real interest at the conference, for people that were doing acquisitions to talk to each other, and kind of, people that were on EDI to talk to people that weren't, to help them, make that transition, and just workflow issues and things like that. So I think it'd be any kind of, communication that we can do between the libraries, I think would be great.
Yeah, I definitely think if you make sure to send me or Jason maybe the time and date of the conference as a reminder, we can make sure it gets put up on the calendar on the website.
Okay. All right.
I found the bug, and I put a link to it in the chat box there. This is, and Lizette had posted a visual example. She posted a screenshot of what it looks like. But this is one that when a patron pays for an item, or if you write off lost fees, there's that in the item record, it records that the item was paid for by, and then it actually puts in the patron's name. It actually records the patron's name in the item record, which is a huge privacy issue as far as I'm concerned. And it got mentioned on Bugzilla, and a couple of people have chimed in on it. And it was last really discussed in the community back in May of 2018. And I was thinking if anybody else wants to take a look at that and see what the issue is, maybe if we had some more discussion on that, it would move from low major up to actually somebody writing a patch about it and trying to. I think it should just be removed from the database. And that was part of the discussion, is why do we even need this in here? Originally, I think when I mentioned it to Bywater, I said, could we change it so instead of a name, it's just a barcode number? And they said, why do we even need it? Why don't we just get rid of it? But there's never been any motion in the last year, almost a year, on doing anything. So maybe if we had some more people comment on it in the community, something might actually be more likely to happen. So. Any other bugs, issues that people are having? we're kind of, we've run out the hours, so.
I have just a quick question.
Sure.
I was wondering how many libraries here are experiencing libraries that are starting to do away with fines?
I have a couple of libraries that want to do that within the next couple of months.
We're finding it, we started out with some libraries just not applying fines to minor cards. And that has been kind of an issue in itself, just because, you know, some libraries do charge and some don't, and it's kind of weird, you know, with the ways the rules are set up. But now we've got libraries that are starting to look at doing away with fines altogether. And one of the things that we're finding is, you know, we're not all on the same page with our rules. The rules are starting to get a bit bloated with all the different variances, because, you know, this library is not charging, this one is, this one's not doing children's, this one is. So, you know, there's, I was wondering if anybody's had similar experiences, or if they've found a good way to transition through those rules, rather than, you know, just keep adding rules.
I don't know, we found a good way to deal with it, but we just kind of deal with it here as it comes up. We have a bunch of libraries that have never charged fines. And so that it's not really an issue for those libraries. We had one library last year that their first thing they did was they said, let's get rid of fines on children's accounts, which I went through and I made all those changes. And then a couple of months later, they said, this is going so well, let's make it everybody's account. And so then I had to go back and make more changes. The issue I'm having with the library that on April 1st, our biggest library in Leavenworth, Kansas, not only do they want to do away with fines, but they want to clear all of the outstanding fines. And so Bywater is going to help us with that. I'm waiting to hear back from Jess actually about what she needs from me to clear all the outstanding fines. We're not getting rid of the lost item fees or any of the other fees. It's just the late fees. So, yeah, and of course, as soon as this library decided to do that, another library wanted to jump on, like at the last minute. Leavenworth contacted me way in advance, and I've been working on getting everything lined up to do it for them. And then this other library just said, we want to do it the same day. It's like, well, you know, maybe you should have contacted me 2 months ago also. I just told them they're going to have to wait. But other than, you know, extra work for me, it hasn't been a burden on them. But there are a lot of fines rules that need to be changed.
We the other thing that we noticed with this transition is now, you know, this library, you know, a library doesn't charge fines, you know, either on children's or on anything, and so now they're having to write off all the fines that accrue from other libraries' items on their patrons. So
right.
So a lot of writing off.
So what we do in Central Kansas Library System, we have about 50 public libraries, and we've actually done a push to encourage them to remove fines. And the taking it off the rules hasn't really been the problem. It's making sure that they tell us when they remove the fines, because they're like, oh yeah, we changed our policy, but then they never told us. And so we've had to kind of retroactively remove them. But what we've also started to do is we used to have each library had their own patrons, and now we're doing one patron, one account. And so our standing rule is that you cannot clear fines that accrued at another library. That belongs to that library. And so we've kind of done it that way. As far as I know, it's working. We haven't heard any complaints, but yeah, we've kind of done the challenge that way, is making sure that somebody doesn't write off somebody else's fines.
So do you transfer fines, you know, that you accumulate for on one library's items? Do you transfer those over to that library?
It's all just one account. So when they pull up the patron's account, they might see that there's fines, but they can see that it accrued from, you know, library A and they're at library B. So they might say, go to library A and pay your fines, but
Oh,
they
wow.
won't write them off.
Oh, okay.
A difference between the way that Christopher's library operates and the way that we operate, and I think the way Jason and Mary Beth's library operates is in CIN, when the book goes from library A to library B, the book still follows library A's rules. The rules follow the library that owns the item. Here, we've got everything set up so that when the item arrives at library B, it doesn't matter where it's from, it follows library B's rules. So that actually eliminates a lot of issues for us here.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how we're set up. And I was just going to add that early on, our consortium decided, like, if you collect fines for one library, you can always send that money on. We do have a policy in place where it's like over $10, they keep it. If it's under $10, they don't. They forward it on, whatever. So we've got
you just got that backwards, right?
Yeah. So if it's over $10, they forward it on, or if it's for lost items, they forward it on. If it's under $10, they're allowed to keep it. But a lot of our libraries that don't charge fines don't want to deal with the money, so they forward it on anyways.
So George, what I'm hearing you saying is that your circling libraries control the fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I had Lizette's job, and I was talking to somebody, I think I was talking to Nick from Bywater. He said, "Why do you guys do it that way? That's crazy." And I said, "Because that's the way the system has always done it." And he said, "It's so much easier to do it the other way. It's so much easier for your patrons if they just know the item follows the rule at the library where it's being checked out." He said, "It's so much easier." And I said, "Yeah, it sure would be." But that's not, it's just a difference in the philosophy of how the system's set up. So
At least now
yeah.
Now with late fees, it's all like if we want to write off late fees, we'd collect the money. So if we decide to write it off for whatever reason, as long as it's the late fee, we can do that, or we just take the money if they pay. And so that's how we don't have to send the late fees to the different libraries anymore.
Yeah. With the way the owning library setting up the CERC rules, we've got it set up so that if we're collecting the fines for other libraries' items, we don't have to move that on. We just keep those fees. But I can see the benefit of doing it the other way, having the CERC library control that. I can see how that could clear up a lot of that confusion.
Yeah. Well, I noticed a lot of people are dropping out, and it's probably because we're 10 minutes over the normal hour-long time. So unless anybody has any other business, we should probably wrap this up for today. So Margie's waving goodbye. So we'll see you all later. We'll definitely know by the next meeting where we're going to be having the conference. So I look forward to everybody voting. So see you all later.